please. To draw the president's attention to the fact that he has no locus whatsoever when it comes to determining who should govern this country. That power is reserved for the electorate, not him. This country does not belong to him. He cannot make those decisions. He has no power to make those decisions. So at best, he's engaged in grape talking. Just grape talking. He has no such authority. He cannot. Now, the 1992 Constitution is an interesting document. And it provides a remedy for those who subvert the will of the people. The remedy is there. I don't want to repeat it. That remedy is so huge, so ghastly, that I don't even want to repeat it. You know? So those who want to subvert election results, those who are claiming that they will not hand over power and so on, they should go and read the 1992 Constitution again. Because it tells us what we should do to them if they subvert the Constitution. The language is clear. If you subvert the Constitution, it becomes lawful to do some things to you. So they should not joke. This is not me talking, it's the Constitution which is talking. The Constitution says clearly that anybody who subverts the will of the people, we have to do the do. You understand what I mean? So they should be extremely careful. In fact, you don't even have to subvert the will of the people before what the Constitution prescribes is done to you. Look, only recently, there was the coup d'etat which was described as the Cutlass coup and so on, involving Mark Palm. You remember? And the courts decided what punishment to give to them, even though they did not attempt the coup. They only dreamt and talked about it. You saw what the courts decided should be done to them. Indeed, 3 days ago, Second Lieutenant Osepoku died. I hope you remember Second Lieutenant Osepoku, who together with Lieutenant S.B. Atta and others tried to overthrow a military government. Not a government elected by the people, but a military government. And you know what happened to them? Okay? So, those who pray for long life should do things which allow them to have long life. If you pray for long life, you don't tamper with the Constitution. If you pray for long life, you don't subvert the will of the people, because the consequences are dire. As for the legacy argument, my brother, legacy? Legacy? I've been listening to Professor White, and he's spoken eloquently about the legacy of the Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. I mean, there's nobody who has ever ruled this country before who has left such a legacy. Towering legacy. When I talk to my friends who say they are Nkrumahs and CPPs and so on, they are always mentioning Akosombo Dam, Job 600, factories and so on. The legacy, the true legacy of Nkrumah is not the Akosombo Dam. The true legacy of Nkrumah is not the Akratema motorway. It is that vision, that idea and organizational capability which enabled him to do those things. They are enduring. Accra Motorway has developed potholes. Very soon it may not exist. Okay? The Central Intelligence Agency of the United States of America, as part of its plans to cause chaos in this country, to create conditions for the overthrow of the Nkrumah government, actually played with the idea of bombing the Akosombo Dam. It is possible that one day the Akosombo Dam may not be there, and so on. But the idea of collective self-reliance for African states, the idea of stopping dependence on imports from the colonial metropolis and so on, is an enduring legacy, lives forever. The idea of building boarding schools with bunk beds, the person who slept on top of you had no chance of determining who slept on top of you, so you could be there, sleeping on the lower bed, and on the upper bed, there could be a dagati. The next bed could have a frafra and an eve, and so on. And all of this led to a certain bonding, the building of a spirit of nationhood, which is today being destroyed by foolish politicians. And there are so many of them. And they are everywhere. They are in all the political parties. The NDC primaries. Did you hear the garbage which was spilled? Oh, MPP stronghold is Ashanti region. So you need a candidate from Ashanti, in order to neutralize the NPP. Rubbish. And then it came to the selection of running mates. Same rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Non-entities. People who cannot be elected, assistant school prefects, were vying for the position of running mate to John Mahama with stupid reasons. Sometimes it's reduced to age. Sometimes it's reduced to the region they come from. Sometimes it's reduced to their looks. And some of the people who are making arguments about looks, I look at their faces and look at their body and look at their legs. I said, what is going wrong? That such people have the effrontery to be talking about looks? Look at them. They themselves, look at them. Unbelievable. But then that's the level we have come to. The level we have come to. I was going to say something, but, I'm a little careful sometimes, That's why the people who said those things, they are my very, very close friends. Not that I'm afraid to criticize my friends and so on. But sometimes when you're saying things, you don't want fingers to be pointed directly to some people. Some people who are assumed to be gurus in politics and so on, they talk a lot of trash. I mean, to the extent that I heard somebody actually saying that, oh, you see, the National Democratic Congress, if you go to the Ashanti region, its leaders in the Ashanti region, like constituency executives, polling station executives, and so on, most of them are not Ashantis. And that is why it is not winning in Ashanti. So they should be replaced with indigenous Ashantis related to the chiefs. Bah! I want to kill the party in the region. Why? My brother, I've lived a little long. And I saw Lieutenant Colonel Dawuni as the Central Regional Minister. And to this day, the people of the Central Region talk about Lieutenant Colonel Dawuni in glorious terms because of what he did in the region. Today, you go to the Eastern Region. The name of Colonel Minyila would ever remain in the annals of the Eastern Region because of the work he did. It doesn't come from there. Akwe Norte, you remember Akwe Norte? Was it Northern Region, commissioner and so on? And there are many others. In fact, during the so-called First Republic, and I don't accept that there's a First Republic and a Second Republic and a Third Republic, Ghana gained its republican status only once, on 1st July 1960. It is the same republican status that we maintain after today. So there's nothing like First Republic and there's nothing like Second Republic. It's all just foolish imaginations of politicians who are engaged in a foolish act of arbitrating the legacy of Nkrumah. That's only one republic. There's always been one republic. Okay? But for the purposes of this discussion and so that people would understand, I like to refer to the First Republic. That condition, that you must hail from a place to be able to contest elections there, didn't exist. That is why Nkrumah could move from Nkrofo, small village in the western region, come to Odododio and beat Obechebilamte to Ras. You understand? And I think that condition should be removed as quickly as possible if we are to build a united Ghana where nobody is a stranger anywhere. You know, there's this practice again. Hey, Asamoah. Senna, you've heard, once in a while, some chiefs, they meet. So we have banned this person from coming to our region. Who the hell are you to ban any Ghanaian from coming to your region? No chief has that authority. No chief has that authority. No chief to ban anybody from going anywhere in Ghana. It's an aberration. It's an affront to the 1992 Constitution. And we should be telling those chiefs who have all of a sudden started calling themselves kings and so on. There's no king in Ghana. My friend, take it from me, there's no king in Ghana. Ghana is a unitary democratic republic. You cannot have a king in a unitary democratic republic. There's no king in Ghana. Stop that nonsense. Put it aside. Okay? So I'm saying that if you're talking about legacies, this is the legacy we must uphold. Okay? Now, if you're talking about legacy and you want to reduce it to the level that Akufo-Addo and his friends have reduced it to, free SHS, is it a new thing? Master, free SHS, is it a new thing? 1D, 1F, what is it? Is that the first time in our history that we are beginning to talk about factories? And in fact, under 1D, 1F, you'll be surprised. Again, I saw a video of a vulcanizing shop being labeled as part of the 1D, 1F achievement. Vulcanizing shop. Those who are listening to us in Tamale know that Moto King had been in Tamale for many years. Many years. Yet today is part of the 1D, 1F and so on. These jokes. Jokes. What under 1D, 1F comes anywhere near the jute factory which was built under Nkrumah? So if you're talking about legacies, if you want to reduce legacies to that level of counting houses, counting streets and so on, and counting gutters, let's do it properly. You understand? Legacy. Legacy. What legacy? Cathedral. That part of the legacy. The most expensive hole ever dug in the name of God. And you see, some of these politicians, they do more damage to the reputation of God than even Satan does. Why? You claim, I'm not saying it, that God created heaven and earth. He created the entire universe, the whole solar system and so on, Saturn, uranium and all of that. God has the capacity to do all of that. And you want to please him, and then you take a small place somewhere in range and build a structure there, you think you are doing something for God. God who builds the universe.
It's homeless.
Yes, and then they say that God is homeless, you know. He doesn't fit into Archbishop Duncan Williams Cathedral. He doesn't fit into all the cathedrals which exist. You must create something new for God. He built the universe, my friend. You said that he built the universe. And you see, these people, they worry God a lot. I don't know. If I were God, I don't know what I'm going to do. They worry him a lot. People who are going to build a resting place for God, God does not give them the wisdom to find ways of building it and completing it on schedule. God takes away their wisdom to the extent that they only end up digging a hole. What kind of God is that? Master, is that kind of God worth worshipping? What kind of God be that? But, hey, this is where we are. I want to end by sounding a warning. Anybody, any group of people who are intent on rigging this election must take note that we have rights and powers that we have given ourselves in the 1992 Constitution. And those rights and powers include the right to resist them even at the peril of our lives. And they must not begin to think that they are the only Jack Torontos in Ghana. They are not the only Jack Torontos in Ghana. There are so many Jack Torontos. You understand? They must be careful. I think that every Ghanaian who loves his country would not want to add mayhem to the terrible economic conditions that people are facing and so on. But if we are left with no choice, we will rise up to the occasion and face all those who think that they have a divine right to rule over us, even as they mess our lives. Something small, and if I just relax. We cannot, under any circumstance, describe Cecilia Dapa as a criminal. She's under suspicion of committing a crime, but she has not been convicted by any appropriate institution. That's all.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. We have to take a break. When we come back, we'll discuss the limited voter registration exercise. So we'll be right back.
Freedom, he's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer.
Well, thank you very much for staying tuned to the Mother of All Talk Shows. Alhaji and Alhaji. We are live on Pan-African Television. We are live on Radio Gold. And don't forget, we are live on the social media platforms of Pan-African Television. On Facebook, look for Pan-African Television. On YouTube, look for Pan-African Television. I realize that a lot of you are gravitating more towards the YouTube broadcast than the Facebook broadcast nowadays. Fantastic. And you're watching us live. I am Sana Nombo in the studio this morning. In case you're just joining us, Comrade Kwesi Pratt Jr. is General Secretary of the Socialist Movement of Ghana. Jifa Tegan is Deputy National Women Organizer of the National Democratic Congress. And of course, lawyer Andrew Apia Dankwa is a member of the Alliance for Revolutionary Change and also Movement for Change. Any which way, yes, he is cool. And then Professor Michael Kpaza-White is Senior Research Fellow, University of Ghana, and a former presidential staffer. And that's our panel today to discuss the issues we've tabled so far. We're just discussing the president's comment about his legacy and how he wants his legacy protected and how he's insisting on Dr. Bawumia to be the one to do that. We're moving on to something connected to that because we're getting closer to the elections. It's a limited voter registration exercise. Which started, and I think today will be the 4th day of that exercise. So far, not so good. There are many people who turn up at the registration centers and still complain about not being registered and not having the opportunity to be registered. The political party are saying we are having to encourage a lot more people to go to those centers after they've gone there and are refusing to go back. This time around, I will start the discussion with Jifa Tegan on this one, but before I do that, let me acknowledge Shine FM in Akachi on 96.9, Hills FM Adakulu on 91.7, Newasi Radio Katakrachi on 89.7, Sela Radio Dabala 97.1, Diamond FM in Tamale on 93.7, Gbawa Radio in Yendi on 106.5, Radio Kitao in Saboba 95.7, Benya FM Elmina 105.7, Global FM 105.1 in Ho, Zebs FM 95.9 in Zebila, True FM 92.5 in Adeso, Lamaya FM 89.1 in Tripoli. We are also live on Lukusi 96.1 in Vaigolokwati. We are live on Tyne FM 90.9, Sekbele FM on 104.3 in Likbeto Dome, Akpini Radio in Pandu. We are live on all those radio stations. And thank you very much for providing us your platform every Saturday morning. Jifa, on the matter of limited voter registration exercise.
Okay, so Senna, thank you once again. And my uncle Kwesi gave a proverb today that I've not heard before, and it's something I'll adopt. That if you intend to live long, do things that will make you live long. And I think it's relatable to everybody in life, not just the people in power today. That you have to be careful and, you know, protect your life if you intend to live long. Or else, if you behave haphazardly, you may end your life easily. So, Senna, going into the voters registration exercise that is going on, and there has been many challenges. I must say that whenever we are having national activities or exercises like this, challenges are to be expected. It's normal. However, there are some challenges that will throw you off and make you realize that we are either ill-prepared or there is some ill intention somewhere. That is it. So, if I am having a wedding ceremony and there isn't any food, something somewhere has gone wrong as to someone's actions, or we are ill prepared. Because out of the many issues that are supposed to, occur on your wedding day, like unavailability of food is not supposed to be part of them. You understand? That is why I'm saying that, oh, okay, somebody could be late, somebody could be delayed. Those are the normal mishaps that could happen during events. So this particular exercise is one that I really want all Ghanaians to look closely at. They should study it very closely and see and understand the things that I'm going to say. The very, very major concerns that we have is that innocently because we are so bent on going through these elections right, coming out victorious and preparing, way ahead of time, we have decided that we have agents on the field who would, manage and coordinate everything that is being done, observe and track everything to ensure that on our side there is nothing that is going wayward. And so we want to note down and register all the BVR serial numbers. Every BVR machine has a serial number. And we haven't decided to do this out of the blue. Very recently, we held a press conference about a few weeks ago. And we had mentioned that it has come to our notice that some BVR machines that are under surveillance at the EC office, head office, are missing. Just missing. Let me emphasize the fact that they are under CCTV surveillance, not human being surveillance where somebody will go and pee or leave the room and then it's missing. CCTV, electronic surveillance, they are missing. The EC tried on several occasions to deny it until they couldn't deny it anymore and they admitted to it. We asked 35 questions. How? Why? When? What have you done about it? How are we solving it? What is the reason behind it? Where were they? What happened to the surveillance? Can we get footage? So many questions amounting to 35. None of them have been answered by the EC. Obviously, it is something that they can confront because if they boldly had answers and solutions, they would have squashed this issue within a matter of minutes, but they cannot. Many things, including this, has led the NDC as a party to understand that no, unlike the idea that the EC is an independent, institution and is supposed to be fair and does not have any affiliation to any political party, and so every political party is supposed to trust it. We do not trust it. Lots of Ghanaians who don't even know who to vote for yet know that they can't trust the EC. And so because of that, it's simple. Our agents on the ground will record the serial numbers of all these BVR machines, so that when we record it, we know that this one was here at this time, registered this person, this number of people, and we can track it. And it really takes nothing. It is just availability of the serial numbers. Nobody is going to print it out from somewhere. Every BVR machine has serial numbers. So just show it. Let them write it. Few serial numbers, that's it. Your people are not the ones going to write it all. Our people will document it. It takes a matter of seconds. Our people will document it. Nothing will be used, no resources by the government. It's not as if you are going to purchase sheets of papers or inks or pens, nothing. Just show, allow us to see it and record it all around the country. The EC is resisting this move. The EC is like boldly insistent on resisting this move. We won't show it to you. We won't allow you to record it. Why? What do they have to hide? What do they have to lose? Just show us. In fact, we have even created room that, of course, there are some of the BVR machines that may be spoiled by the day of election, and so there will be replacements or not. Fine. Transparency, we allow that. Just be transparent. This is a body that claims that they are transparent, as the law insists that they should be. They are really pushing away from that, and they won't insist. Senna, without explaining further, I ask a 6-year-old child or somebody in primary 6, why do you think the EC will do that? Then you tell me that this is where I said it is either ill-prepared or ill intention. And this issue we are talking about is not about preparation. The BVR machines are there. today, some are working. So it's ill intention that I'll point to. That the EC may be, this is what I'm suspecting as a suspicion, may be in cohorts with people to plan ill machinery, or should I say ill intentions towards this election. And when an EC works towards, an ill intention, it is definitely stealing. That is the goal, the intention to steal. So now, I am shocked that, if not for anything at all, in your plot to try to do something that is not allowed, it should be reasonable. You should have a reason. Oh, we do not want you to record because of this. So it will disturb the process. It will do this. There is no reason at all. This is the suppression that I was telling you that we are going through. The suppression that we have to go through. But I must say that this is not something that we are going to let loose. Sena, one of our major problems with this registration exercise going forward is what is happening now. And then you hear that the Mpoho treasurer, MPP treasurer, has been arrested for registering a minor. And you are wondering what is even going to happen when BVRs that are missing and few others or more others that will be missing in future will land into the hands of criminals, future criminals. What do you think will be used for? In my suspicion, it will be used to register lots of other people illegally. And if it will be used to register people illegally, it will be people who are not eligible to vote. Because if you are eligible to vote and you have your people, let them come and vote over 18 years. Even if you do not have a Ghana card, the guarantor system still works. You can have any other card apart from your passport, like the Ghana card. If you do not have it, the guarantor system still works. So it tells me that if these have been hidden, it is to register people who are not legal voters, who are not eligible to vote. Because if you cannot account for BVR machines and tell us how they were missing, and they are missing and no one has answered questions about it, and more will be missing, and you are refusing for us to register the serial numbers so as to track in December or any upcoming voting exercise what is going on or which machine is being used, to know that this is the machine that was used here, these are the number of voters that this machine registered, and these are the number of voters for this particular constituency or district. If you are preventing us from doing that, that means you have ill intention. So now I am seated here saying that today, I, together with my party, NDC, is suspecting the EC of ill intention. And I will say, as I have adopted this proverb or adage, that if you intend to live long, do things that will make you live long. Because there is not going to be, Ghanaians will be ashamed and disappointed in the NDC if we sit down for the EC to push us around. I was telling my brother that everybody, all other political parties apart from MPP, including the mere Ghanaian, is looking up to NDC to stand boot for boot against the MPP. I meet people who tell me that, Charlie, one facing Kofuya will be very disappointed in you. People are really leaning on on NDC to be that force that fights for the country. Because we are the only party that reasonably and clearly can really put these people to their place. I am sitting here today together with my party and saying that we suspect the EC of ill intentions. Because there has been several proof that tells that the EC chairperson, together with her deputies and some other top EC officials, have extreme political affiliations with the MPP. And I'm not alleging this. In pictures, my brother is here, he knows. In pictures, in records, in political history, they have affiliations. And I'm not saying that alone makes them something, but I'm saying that these actions they are taking on the ground is informing me that they have ill intention and they will be opposed at every angle. That being said, we have issues that have happened before that are still happening. Like in Boem constituency, where there are suppression from government officials like the immigration officers, government forces like the immigration officers, some are even army officers. We have registration centers being tilled and searched as though whatever is going on there is illegal. When such is not happening in Kumasi and Eastern region. Why is it only Volta region and Oti region that is the center of all this immigration suppression or voter suppression? Why is it always Volta region and Oti region? You ask them and they'll tell you they don't want people to come from Togo to vote. This issue of immigration, if a real immigration expert was here and was describing why even Ghanaians have access, or should I say have US passports, for a country like US to accept that we have Ghanaians who are citizens of our country, you'll be alarmed. Why is it not happening in the Axim border? Why are they not pumping immigration officers and army officers in Axim border? Is Togo the only border to another country? Is Togo the only border to another country? Say now, these are my two major things. In fact, the third one is the fact that this Impoho treasurer tried to register a minor. That is one case out of the many that we'll find out. But these two are my major concerns. The fact that we are being prevented from registering and recording the BVR machines, BVR serial numbers to every machine. And also the suppression and intimidation by officials of this government, not just this government, but officials of the states in the strongholds, clearly the strongholds of the NDC. It tells you that these people's confidence is coming out from the fact that they would want to rig the elections, the MPP. And I must tell you that I have never been so sure of our preparation and our resistance going forward to make sure that there is nothing that is going untoward, and that the people will vote and vote through their hearts, and their votes will be counted on the day of election. And indeed, when their vote is counted, we know that it's John Dramani Mahama who emerged the winner as the president of Ghana 2025. Thank you, Senna.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ruben K. Benson posts on Facebook. Alhaji and Alhaji is also live on Denyigba Radio 19.9 Georgia. So, good morning to everybody at Denyigba Radio 90.9 in Georgia. I now know that we are live on your station. Lawyer.
So, this EC registration exercise will face challenges because of the extent to which Ghanaians doubt their neutrality. That's all, because all the issues that are arising, as in the BVR issue, it could be a genuine mistake.
Okay.
I'm not saying it is a genuine mistake, but it could be a genuine mistake. But the truth of the matter is that because there are people in the EC who we all know are members of the MPP, we do not believe that the BVR issue is born out of a genuine mistake. We think that these are manipulations that are being put in place by the EC, a body that's supposed to be neutral, a body from whom we demand neutrality. Unfortunately, has been stained by the legacy of Nana Akufo-Addo. It's been stained seriously. You understand? Indeed, happenings in Edreso also cast doubt in the minds of the people of Ghana about the integrity of the Electoral Commission. Unfortunately, you understand? You know my position about speaking about these bodies, the EC, the judges, because I think that it is all of us, our collective interest, to try and maintain some sort of integrity for them, at least because of the role they play, or they ought to play in the smooth running of the system of governance that we have chosen for themselves. Unfortunately, right now they are plagued by a serious integrity issue, like I said, because after Edreso, there were serious allegations made that some of the people at the lower level, the people who manage the elections at the polling station levels, were actually MPP polling station executives. I don't know if the AC has come out to refute those allegations. No, I recall Hobson making those allegations that the people who actually were running were polling station executives of the New Patriotic Party. Yeah. So the problems they are facing, like I'm saying, it could be what's it called, genuine technical mistakes, but nobody believes them. You understand? Nobody believes it. And that's why some time ago, we were calling, not some time ago, when Nanado attempted or appointed the MPP people into the EC. At that time, I was an MPP. When he did that, I was an MPP. And I recall I came here and I castigated him for doing that. You understand? My view is that, you see, and you know, when I was having a discussion with my sister here, I said well, maybe that some people may think that it's the duty of the NDC to oppose the ills that are being meted out to the people of Ghana. My view is the collective responsibility of all Ghanaians, because you see, Uncle Kwesi Pratt spoke eloquently about the subversion of the will of the people. I stand on all fours with his views on that. It is because we want to have a country that is stable, but because it is in our duty, it is in our interest to have a country that is stable. Now it is our collective responsibility to ensure that our votes count. You understand? And you see, it's shocking. It's shocking the lack of principle within our political space. It's not a long time, a while ago, when the MPP organized Let My Vote Count. So when they organized that, what was their interest? Was their interest Ghana, or their interest was organize some demonstration, creating some meeting system so that they could win the election? See, if you love this country, then we must make sure that we do everything in our power to ensure that the EC maintains a modicum of integrity. And there again, I'll refer to what happened in the Edreso election, because the EC manages elections. The EC manages elections, so that is their duty also to ensure that people do not go and share weed. So as much as they are doing this registration exercise, that's why you mentioned about the Impoho, about some MPP guy going to. But clearly, you can see that evil men have decided that listen, they are going to subvert the will of the people, because that is rigging. When you go into any elections and your view is to rig, overvoting is rigging, sharing of weed is rigging, sharing money is rigging, ensuring that people who are not supposed to vote is rigging, and they all constitute a massive subversion of the will of the people of this country. You understand? Now, because of what our interest, our collective interest is, that is to have a country that's stable, where all of our interests will have the best chance of being fulfilled. Then it is in our interest that the EC succeeds. So yes, first day wahala, second day wahala, third day wahala, fourth day wahala. Or the first 4 days, how many days so far? 4 days.
Yeah, 2 days or 4 days.
All wahala. And the wahala is because the people of Ghana do not trust in the integrity of the East. I don't know how they're going to do it between now and December 7th. I don't know how they're going to reclaim that lost integrity. Maybe that integrity will be reclaimed when the people of Ghana themselves decide that they are going to monitor everything that concerns this election with the eye of the eagle, so that whatever results come in December 7th, in fact, let me rephrase that, so that in December 7th, when Alan John Kojo Chamati is declared as the president of this country, nobody would doubt the integrity of that declaration.
Correct yourself.
I corrected myself. I said that whoever, I'm not saying right now, so I'm correcting from the whoever to when Alan John Kojo Chamati is declared the president of Ghana, nobody would doubt the integrity of the election. You see, to end, all we have is Ghana. You see, there are some things that I don't understand. All we have is Ghana. You see, you can go and sojourn in some other place, but they say, there's a reason why they say that there's no place like home, no matter how humble the place is. Let us, under no circumstance, undermine what we have, the stability we have here, the peace we have here, the togetherness we have in this country, just because of somebody's mad ambition. It is not worth it. And it is, and because of that, it is all of us are in our responsibility to guard the processes. Because, like I'm saying, myself, I don't trust the AC now. But we can ensure that we have an election that we all accept when we guard the process. We guide the process in our own small way. Some people have proposed drones, but we will be there. You vote and we'll be there to make sure that when people are counting, they don't jump from 70 to 83. Now, when people are counting, they don't apply, what's it called, the ink Yeah, I understand. So that at the end of the day, we have a leader who represents the will of the people of Ghana. And that is the collective responsibility of everybody who calls himself a Ghanaian. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. There's a comment from Kojo Chumbuafo. I don't know why it has nothing to do with what we are discussing. But first he says, Jifa, that I should tell you, Jifa, that I am still standing by the roadside where she dropped me. Nice to see her. Where she dropped him. So I don't know where it is. So it's nice to see you. And says, my heartfelt felicitation to all of you. Basena, why have you come back so soon? Beauty replaced you last week. Please go on an extended honeymoon. Come back after December 7th. Good morning to you. A very good morning. This is Musa Abatua, who says, Sena, we shouldn't blame Akufo-Addo for saying don't vote for Mahama because stolen valuable things. Okay, anyone who steals valuable things do not wish to be caught. However, we are sending a clear caution to ECA. Any attempt to steal 2024 elections will be forcibly resisted. In 2012, Dr. Afarijan allowed all political parties to have access to the serial numbers of BVR kits, whilst Jane Mensah and Boss Mansari refusing political parties' request to have BVR kit serial numbers. How could 7 of these machines be stolen under the CCTV surveillance and nobody knows whereabouts of these machines, and Jane Mensah is sitting unconcerned? That's coming from Musa Abatua. Julius Agahoa also joins and says, good morning. And thank you very much. Says I will agree with Nanado because John Mahama will destroy the Akufo-Addo legacy of corruption, the legacy of nepotism, the legacy of DDEP, the legacy of stealing, the legacy of looting, the legacy of Galamsey, the legacy of economic decay, the legacy of arrogance, the legacy of disrespecting chiefs, the legacy of family and friends government, among others. His Excellency John Mahama will manage this country well and put back a smile on the faces of the good people of this country. Sends his regards to Jifa. Dennis Akwete also sends a message, says, on the question of legacy and protection of destruction of same, I think former President John Mahama had given an appropriate response to President Nanado, and that should settle the matter. Indeed, it will be disastrous to any successor president, irrespective of which political party that produced the said president, to protect President Nanado's legacy that has mortgaged everything, including posterity of this country. It must not happen. Shalom. Thank you, Dennis, for that message. And this is Abbas Omogobo in Ofinso, who says the MPP and Dr. Bawumia is looking for another opportunity to finish Ghana. How can Bawumia partner Akufo-Addo to mismanage Ghana and still have the nerves to ask the good people of Ghana to make him president? Abbas, thank you. And this one is coming from Papa Bisiu, who says the coming general election is really the battle of Ghana's second independence, and therefore I am seeing it as Ghana against a group of people using the name of MPP to milk the nation dry to the detriment of majority of suffering Ghanaians, whilst they live big or large. No wonder Ken Kranchi too has left that party. Away with them. Papa Bisiu sent that from Accra. Let me read. This is from Hadi in Pig Farm. All that left in the minds of Nanado, Bawumia and the MPP communicators confusion and weak thoughts. Whatever they spew out does not make sense. No wonder they were able to believe that some guinea fowls flew from Ghana to Burkina Faso. Even Nanado's driver couldn't take us to our destination, then don't expect anything good from Bawumia's mate. Vote for a visionary leader like His Excellency the humble and hardworking gentleman called JDM for a better Ghana. Prof.
Thank you very much. So, what it is I think the Electoral Commission of Ghana is facing a twin credibility crisis, and that is manifesting in what we are seeing on the field. And let me start from why I think so. Since 1992, in fact, even before, Jane Mensah had spent a lot of her years at the IEA literally facilitating discussions around good governance and transparency and accountability. And in fact, under her stewardship at the IEA, the political parties were literally taught how to talk to themselves rather than back at themselves. With her sitting in the chair facilitating at IPAC with the permission of Dr. Kojo Afarijan at the time. And so this is somebody who has worked, for the most part, in the transparency industry, basically preaching transparency. My former schoolmates, Dr. Bosman Asari, because we were mates in Legon, I mean, we were in the same class, we were in the same courses together. Political scientists like myself. He studied in Legon and then he went to the US. Came back, spent a lot of his years in Legon teaching politics, democracy, transparency, accountability, and so on and so forth, to the thousands of students who have passed through his hands. Now, one would have thought that having gotten the opportunity now to put into practice or to perform in reality what they've been teaching, they would have built upon, let's say, what Dr. Kojo Farijan has done, what Charlotte Osei has done, and develop a long-term strategic vision of our Electoral Commission as a true arbiter and neutral arbiter in our democratic process. What we are seeing now is a complete reversal of everything. And let's face it, the fears being expressed, particularly by those of us in the NDC and many other well-meaning Ghanaians, about the conduct of the EC, in my view, are well-founded. There is this thinking that rigging only happens on election day. No. I mean, for those of us who teach politics, we will tell you rigging an election happens before, during, and after. Right? The areas where rigging occurs or rigging occurs before elections are things like limited registration and the kinds of things that go on. The voter suppression, the attempt to intimidate people, the attempt to kind of get minors and stuff into it. They are all directed at rigging an election. They are all directed at preventing the election from representing the true reflection or the true mandate of the people. During elections itself, the attempt to actually put extra ballots in the box and also intimidate people. We heard one of the then MPP members, now in transition, talked about blasting the dynamite somewhere in the Volta region during the 2016 election to scare voters from coming out. So during election too, rigging can happen, either by way of preventing people from coming out to exercise their civic responsibility, or getting people who do not qualify to do so to come in and do it, or get people to vote multiple times by way of making sure that they have access to extra ballots. And talking about extra ballots, under this Electoral Commission, in the last election, we discovered that one of the ballot printing houses had about 1 million extra presidential ballots. That issue, of course, the NDC raised that issue, but some way, somehow, in the heat of several issues at the time, it did not capture the imagination of the country the way it should have been. But there is a sense to believe that some of those ballots found their way into the ballot boxes in the 2020 elections. And why do I say so? After the post-election print sheet audit, Comrade Kwesi Pratt made reference to elections in this country and overvoting. One of the things that was obvious in the post-election pink sheet ballot auditing was the fact that across many police stations in this country, they were overvoting. Do you wonder why, for instance, in Central Region, Nana Akufo-Addo had way more votes as a presidential candidate, but most of his parliamentary candidates fell off? Largely because their rigging machine was largely focused on winning the presidency, and they targeted specific places where they deployed that strategy. So the conversation around limited registration is important, and I think Bosman, Jane Mensah, and Mr. Tete need to understand that the EC is a democratic institution and that their personal idiosyncrasies do not matter. What is important is setting the grounds to ensure that fairness is at play. The NDC has always not been asking that make the rules to favor us. No. I mean, well-meaning Ghanaians, all well-meaning Ghanaians are saying is that, can you create a leveling ground for us to really have these fights and have it very well? Look, I stand to be corrected. But I recall that when we were making the transition to democratic rule under former President Rawlings, the EC or its variants at the time even made provisions for opposition parties to have access to vehicles and other equipment to be able to create a semblance of fair playing ground because of the notion that the NDC was formed out of a regime in power already, so that it doesn't take undue advantage of the process. Why is it that 30 years down the line, instead of growing and making our democratic institutions like the EC, the NCC and others become the envy of Africa or the envy of the world, we are caught up in a situation where, particularly under Madame Jane Mensah, it's like she's doing Ghanaians a favor by performing her duties at the EC. That is the impression one gets. That's the one to take anybody's view. I mean, calls meetings, IPAC meetings and behave as though she's doing the political parties a favor. Yet we Ghanaians are the people who employed her, even though, I mean, we have reason to question why she should be the person there. And I think that when the people at the EC, especially the top management, realizes that limited registration exercises are intended to provide the mechanism for young Ghanaians who are attaining the voting age and others who previously did not register to have themselves activated to exercise their civic responsibility of voting, then you become more relaxed in ensuring that you do that. Unless, of course, their particular thinking is that they are there to do the bidding of one of the political parties, in which case, in this particular case, it's probably the MPP. And that will push the country to the brink of crisis. And so I will say, look, it does not serve the interests of this country, and it doesn't serve their individual interests to travel on the road on which they are traveling. We have seen what has happened in the past. Look, before the district assembly elections, similar situation occurred. Why will you go against a law that says that you must make sure that the places where people get to register to vote is in certain proximity to them, to their places of dwelling? Why will you want to throw that into the bin and say people should go and register in their district of, capitals? Go to my constituency, Shao Sudoku. Between the border from what do you call it, Jonkpo, Tokpo, Agbakochekpo, which shares the line with Honorable Ablakwa's constituency around the Bato line, to Dodowa. From there to Dodowa, if you factor in the fact that no route over there is tarred, you are talking about not less than 5 hours in, 5 hours out. For somebody to just come and have his name into the voters register so that he can exercise his civic responsibility. And that person will have to spend money to take vehicles to the place. That person will have to spend time to leave his normal daily activities to come and do that. There is a sense in which this in itself is a voter suppression. So I think that our colleagues at the EC need to be awakened to the reality that they are in the service of Ghanaians. But you know what? A careful reading of the situation suggests to me that the MPP is relying on not on votes for the determination of the outcome of the 2024 election, but it's relying on the elections for the determination of the outcome. There is a difference in this. As for votes, we do it on one day. We count and see who got the majority and who got the minority. But as for the election, it starts before the voting day. Right? And so whilst we are, I mean, when I say we, NDC, we are actively working towards getting majority of the votes, the MPP appears to be working actively within the election value chain in cahoot with the Electoral Commission to ensure that it doesn't matter, the majority turns out to vote or whatever, we know what we will do and we will fetch the results and throw it at Ghanaians. And I think they are taking a clue from Nigeria, where, I mean, after the elections, there was, I mean, all kinds of complaint, violence and whatever, and then they beat the people up and then they went to sleep and then they swear presidency. I think that those in power now should read the mood of the country. they should read the mood of the country. Even former President Rawlings, who people thought would never handed over power. And I think one of the things that Nanado needs to keep in mind is that he's a lawyer, or so they say. There is nothing like handover in the Constitution. There is nothing in the Constitution that the outgoing president should hand over. Your term of office ends. That is what it is. Your term of office ends on the midnight of 6th January, before we move into the 7th. Your term of office ends. So this thing that I will not hand over, you don't have that. I mean, right, it is not even granted you. When that day comes, your term of office has automatically expired, and the new person automatically gets sworn in, and you'll be surprised. At that moment, all state institutions, all chief of commanders of the various institutions and will move, because allegiance has moved. So if those at the EC are thinking that they are in this process helping to perpetuate Nanado's vision of handing over to himself, and so by so doing they are frustrating people in the registration process, they should be careful, because sooner than later the table will turn, allegiance will move, power will shift, there will be new king on the block. What becomes of you who do everything in your power to prevent that from happening? And you'll be put before the law courts. Today you may see that some of the courts are probably taking decisions that are in your favor, but they also read the national mood. When the tables turn, I believe that those judges are smart and wise enough to do the right thing. So I will suggest to the EC that it pays to be transparent, and it pays to also listen to stakeholders. And more importantly, they should see themselves as just, they should see their role in the registration process as just a mechanism to activate citizens who have attained the eligibility criteria or age to vote. Let me end on the issue of the BVRs and the serial numbers. Senator, what in God's name will prevent anybody from saying, I will not allow parties to have the serial numbers of the BVDs that are doing registration? If you have nothing to hide, if Jane Mensah, Bosman Asari, and Mr. Tete and others at the Electoral Commission have nothing to hide, or they are not being remote controlled by any other individual, or why would they refuse the political parties, particularly based on the demand of the NDC, from having the serial numbers of the BVRs, so that they can use that to do the cross-checking to ensure that whatever is presented as the list that emanates from the registration process is validated? I think that the image and the credibility of the EC will be better enhanced if they actually allow the BVRs to be, the serial numbers of the BVRs to be taken, and then the NDC uses them to cross-check and be sure that what the outcome of the limited registration process is a reflection of what is in the database. Then of course, nobody has anything to complain. But when you start this way, you are poisoning the environment towards December itself. And this, what EC is doing, is a danger to they themselves. It's a danger to the institution, and it's a danger to the individuals. You know, you can test people's patience for only to a certain limit. Abraham Lincoln once says that you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you cannot fool the people all the time. We have gotten there. You look, and I am sure, you see, sometimes I think that there is something about power that we political scientists have failed to be able to understand. When people are in power, it appears that I don't even find the English word to actually explain what exactly it is. It makes you feel that, I mean, there is nothing, I mean, go into town and feel the heat. Go into town. You see videos on social media. Ordinary people video themselves boldly, now saying things that could happen if anybody tried to tamper with the will of the people. And if you were Bosman Asari or Jane Mensah or Mr. Tete, the three leading members of the EC, and you can hear this public anger directed at the way you are conducting yourselves and what could potentially happen when things go wrong, and you do not reflect on yourself, your family, your life, and you think that you can blindly walk in the dark alleys of deception to bring somebody else to power against the will of the people, you have yourself to be blamed. We live in Ghana together with you. You have yourself to be blamed. So I would suggest that, look, Ghanaians should be wide awake. I mean, nobody is doing you a favor. Of course, by all means, go and register. But don't let anybody prevent you from exercising that which is your constitutional rights. And finally, this idea of broken down systems, network failure and things. Why are we not saying that the EC is incompetent? It is gross incompetence right in there. You know you are going into a limited registration exercise, right? What simulations have you done to test your systems? And then you deploy them to the field. Exercise that was supposed to start at 6 o'clock. By 12 o'clock, some places have not been activated. Nothing could be activated. Now they said they have authorized their officials to shift to, offline, from online to offline. Are these things being done deliberately to create a certain, crisis that allows them to be able to, manipulate the voting numbers that the registrants that are entering the register? We live to see. The good thing is that political parties and the stakeholders are wide awake. And I will crave the indulgence of Codeo and other stakeholders, in fact, including all the so-called observers, that they shouldn't wait and only come and be talking on election day. We appreciate them on election day as well. But can they already be in this system and be voicing out alongside what the NDC and others are saying, what we consider to be the ills of the system? I'm sure that when we all do that, we probably will push the Electoral Commission to where it is legitimately required to be and work in a manner that will deliver a credible election for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll go to Comrade Pratt. Before I do that, this is the EC. 5 reasons they've given why they can't give you the serial numbers. 1, compromise of kit security. The second one, targeted manipulation risks. They also say phishing and fraud is a third reason. 4, operational integrity. They explain that by saying the Electoral Commission maintains a structured protocol for the activation and operation of BVR kits, designed to ensure that all devices are used solely for their intended purpose and by authorized personnel only. 5, given the above potential risk that disclosing serial numbers of BVR kits could pose, it is pertinent for stakeholders to address their minds to Section 7, subsection 1J of the Right to Information Act 2019, Act 989. Which provides in part as follows, quote, information is exempt from disclosure where the information contains matters which, if disclosed, can reasonably be expected to endanger a system, including computer and communication systems, of which security is reasonably required. So those are the reasons they have given for their inability to disclose the serial numbers to the NDC. As they've been demanding. A few comments. Martin Kwame said them in Soviet as President Akufo-Addo should be told in the face, without mincing words, that his Busu legacy would surely be obliterated by the next NDC administration. When the righteous is in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Ghanaians are mourning under Akufo-Addo. Thank you for that message. Okay. There's one message coming from Henry Kojo Agbai, specifically to you, lawyer. Henry says, ask Andrew this question for me. Alan Chamantin, without anyone holding a gun to his head as Ghana's ambassador to the U.S., sold our official ambassadorial residence, which next to the official residence of the United States Vice President, and 5 minutes drive from our High Commission in Washington. He went to buy a house in the forest area of Maryland called Potomac, 30 minutes drive from the High Commission. How can we be sure that he won't follow in the tradition of his boss, Kufuor, and Kufuor's successor, Akufo-Addo, who he worked with for 6 years, and only conveniently left because he wanted to be president? That's from Henry Kojo Agbai. He says I should read that to you. And then this is Kojo Chumbuafo against Sena. This past 7+ years has brought home to Ghanaians what happens when you vote for people simply because they have kept asking for power for decades. That in that in and of itself should have told us that Kufuor and his gang of brigands and buccaneers had ulterior motives. The criminal conduct of so many government appointees and officials are the direct consequence of that gullibility of the moment. The ex-ante rigging of the election that has begun is a clear attempt to prevent the brigands and buccaneers from accounting to Ghanaians for their stewardship. Let it never happen again. And then, okay. Mr. Pratt?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at the limited voters registration exercise, and it is clear that so many things are wrong. And I'm wondering when the EC got to know that it had to conduct this exercise. It's like it had 24-hour notice to organize this. It's had all the time to do as Professor White says, to test the system and so on. It didn't. So on the day, internet went haywire, machines malfunctioned and so on. And in some places, I'm told of 5-hour delays. Now, if you look at the distances that people had to travel, and in some cases, not just the distances, the non-availability of transport, bad roads, and so on. It's extremely worrying that the EC had to put people through these difficulties, And I think that these errors were avoidable errors. They were avoidable errors. That's one. The other thing that has struck me is the allegation of voter suppression. And how is it done? You introduce bad machines and so on, and generally just frustrate people from registering. In the so-called strongholds of some political parties, and that can affect the results of the elections. Again, if you look at election results over the period, you would find that at the parliamentary level, there have been cases where parliamentarians have won by 100 votes or less. Okay. In those constituencies, gerrymandering becomes the option. And for example, if you look at the Ashama constituency, the NDC has so many votes in the Ashama constituency that they can probably afford to lose 10,000 or 5,000 and to not affect them. And Ashama is bordered by a number of constituencies. So you send 1,000 here, send 2,000 here, and so on. And then the results of the elections, is determined through manipulation of process. Okay. And that's why I'm getting increasingly worried about reports of busing registrants to the centers. I think it was on Friday or Thursday, I listened to Radio Gold, the morning show, where one of the reporters was recounting his experiences. And he spoke about a particular registration center. And he decided to do a very simple exercise, ask the people where they were coming from. Master, confusion. Some of them didn't want to say where they were coming from. Some of them had to check with their colleagues to find out where they were coming from. Some of them gave answers to show that they came outside that constituency. So this busing of registrants, or potential registrants, should be stopped immediately. It's not in the interest of anybody. It can lead to gerrymandering, and I think that's one of the major problems that confront, this exercise. Then the decision of the EC to do what they call offline registration is problematic. Problematic because it does not enable us to determine on the spot whether or not those who are registering are qualified or not. Okay, that may be determined later. How later? 6 months later, 3 months later, 4 days later, and so on. And who is going to do that verification? Will that verification be done under the scrutiny of party agents or not? In any case, is there not a possibility that some cleaning up exercise could be done before people are invited, to participate in the process of verification and all. You see, when you have an electoral commission whose credibility is in tatters, things must be done well. If it was a credible electoral commission, perhaps we would not worry so much. But given all the problems that the electoral commission has with its credibility, we ought to do things properly. And I'm not convinced that we are doing things properly. I'm not convinced at all that we are doing things properly. Again, caution. Yes, caution. All of these things are adding up. Okay? In any country, my brother, when Mr. Hobson Adoye says that they took measures to frighten voters, and so, and says that he was involved, there would have been some investigation of sort. In Ghana, it's as if nothing has been said. And my brother, yesterday, I heard journalists and so on saying that Hobson Adoye was lying. And that explosions are so noisy that if there's an explosion anywhere in the Volta region, it would have been heard. I mean, I can't believe it. Well, heard anywhere. I can't believe it. Now, it's as if dynamites have the same charge. Dynamites have different charges. You understand? So, I am really, really surprised that there's been no investigation into this huge allegation. In fact, even before Mr. Hobson Adoye came and made this allegation, we knew what happened in the Volta region. Tipper trucks carried sand and blocked roads and so on in order to create panic. All kinds of people were discovered in the bushes with toy guns. All of that created a certain panic situation in the Volta region. Now, there's something that I have noticed, and is most troubling. The secessionist movement in the Volta region acts only when it's a few months to election. Something must explain that. While the secessionist movement in the Volta region goes to sleep, it will sleep. It will sleep and snore. But when it's a few months to elections, that secessionist movement wakes up. Is that not engineered in order to create a situation of insecurity and panic in the Volta region? I don't know, I'm just asking. So we should be careful. We should be careful. 2 nights ago, I spent a considerable part of the night watching Al Jazeera and other things about election results in Chad. And I heard the gunfire, and I saw the scatter in N'Djamena. No, not in N'Djamena, in Chad. And I don't want that situation to happen in Ghana. Today, Chad is counted among the unstable countries in the region. And I don't want that to happen in Ghana. Let's do our things well. Let's ensure that people have confidence in the processes leading up to elections. Look, elections are not rigged on December 7th. The rigging of elections can start today through gerrymandering, through mismanagement of the registration process, through the emergence of secessionist movements in some parts of the country and so on. You understand? Let us be careful. What has happened in other places can happen here.
Thank you. And this is Stephen Pennywa. First, he sends a message, tell Professor White the family Zambo is watching him with joy. So now the current voter registration is skewed to favor the MPP because some kids in most areas perceived to be opposition strongholds are faulty or not working at all. The AC is surely in bed with the MPP. Just watch Piahini in the campaign team of the drivers mate Nahafo and Bono East regions. Now, there's a picture that's circulating, but there's a portion where they circulate the head of Dr. Piahini, the MPP man who was sent to the Electoral Commission. The suggestion that he is part of Dr. Bawumia's campaign team. They are sought to explain that by saying that Dr. Bawumia went on the campus of the university where he lectured. And they were holding an event, and he was part of those who were invited guests at the event.
He's still lecturing?
Yes, he's still lecturing. They say he's still lecturing. That's the explanation.
And attending events by Bawumia?
Yes. That he couldn't avoid the event.
Is he not a full-time staff at the EC?
I think he's a commissioner rather. I don't know whether commissioners
are full-time.
Full-time,
yes.
Okay. But they said he's still lecturing. Still lecturing. But the picture clearly shows him in the background where Dr. Bawumia was having exchanging pleasantries with some gentlemen. So the suggestion is that he may be even a campaign team member of Dr. Bawumia. And that's another issue that is making the rounds and is being raised. But I haven't done any Facebook message comments today since I have some time left. I don't know if we have enough time to go through the last topic. And since everybody is suggesting that they don't have a lot to say, okay, so maybe brief comments on the last topic.
You see, the Belgium issue is a clear symptom of what happens when you put party apparatchiks in very critical security places. I think some people have mentioned, and amongst those who have mentioned are people who are executives of the New Patriotic Party. Yeah, you understand. So what was the purpose? As in, because the people who have mentioned clearly are party people. They are not security people, but they are party people. And so I know that the time is short, but you see, as a people, we must find a clear distinction between the party and the state. So when somebody does not have the competence to fill a role, you don't put that person there only because he's the party man. Because clearly these are party people. What's it called? The chairman of Medina constituency also. And we must follow what happens. As in, we must follow how they are dealt with. You understand? Is it a case that they'll go quiet and then they'll quietly return to airport? But clearly we have a country to build. And if we are to do a good job at that, then we owe this country a duty to ensure that people who have the right qualification, it shouldn't matter if you are in your party or not, but people who have the right qualification, or if you are putting, or there are certain places that you shouldn't even put people with partisan consideration there. Because clearly this is a massive disgrace of the country. Yeah, I understand. And this would have gone unnoticed had they not been caught in Belgium. Don't put party people in such positions, and then so for me, I'm even suspecting that the party is linked to the whole issue, and proper investigations must be done. We are in 2024. Maybe they need money some way somehow, but is this issue where the party that sponsored the president, from whom the president is, the executives, very senior executives, I think the constituency chairman are involved in this Yes, I'm not sure MPP.
No, I mean, so that nobody.
Oh no, it's clear. It's MPP chairman. Yeah. I think Medina constituency chairman. Proper investigations must be done, and nobody is above the law. And we should not follow what happens in that matter. We should not
follow. Only the arrest in Belgium. The Herald had to do the publication for it to come to public notice.
Otherwise,
it would have gone under the radar, Prof.
Well, just a brief comment. I don't know the details of the story, but I'm just wondering: is he part of the makeup of the MPP that anytime they are in power, cocaine must become part of our national conversation in one way or the other? And they don't come in small forms; they come in big. The country in pieces with, international dimension. So I do agree. The media should be encouraged to kind of ask more questions, look for more answers. That's one mechanism of deterrence, so that we can. But if it is not galamsey that is from which they are making money to destroy us, then it's from cocaine. And I think that this is a pity, and we need a change. We need it very badly, and we have a trusted a tested and tried hand in the person of President Mahama. We should not hesitate to give him the opportunity again.
Eva?
Yes, so I quite agree, and I was just about to mention it before you did. That to me, aside the fact that NPP, I mean, during Kufuor's time, we all know the cocaine scandals that came out. You want to think that there are some people who are comfortable, there are some cocaine dealers who are only comfortable in operating or bold enough to push more during NPP government. However, if the government, just like my brother was saying here, he says that he suspects the hand of the government or the party in power right now as to be involved in this. If indeed they had nothing to do with this, I don't think they would be wanting to conceal it. The degree with which they want to conceal such a matter is not even about protecting the country. It's about protecting their shame and also protecting media from going or diving well into the matter. And it tells you the kind of country that we are living in. Because some of these things internationally is very derogatory, it is shameful, and it tells you how badly our country is being managed. And it also tells you that looking at the implications of a country that will forego or decide to ignore the pushing of cocaine through their airports, look at how strict the security at airport is. I mean, it will definitely boil down to the fact that nobody can say that I didn't see. Somebody will say, I went to the washroom or that. There'll be lots of excuses. But obviously, there are a group of people, powerful people, who made sure that this cocaine was pushed through. And it can only be as powerful as people who have so much power in the government. I'm telling you that this is not an issue of just cocaine and the fact that it was pushed out. This is an issue of bad governance that has been exploded or that has escalated. This is an issue of the governance that we are thinking in right now, we are living in right now. And the fact that the people in power do not really care about the well-being of the country. And so whilst we are hoping that we dive well into this issue and get to the roots of it, it will end in the person being arrested and prosecuted in Belgium because he has gone against their law. And it will also end in nothing being done about the culprits. Some will be arrested, questioned, and as Okujeto said, obviously the punishment or the sanctions whilst they are waiting investigation is even so low. This thing will end up as a foolish case. The person, unfortunately, because has ended up in another country, will be in prison for a long time. And it just tells you what we are living in as a country. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pratt.
Well, there isn't enough time to do any extensive commentary, but there's one particular comment which has been made over and over again, and I find that quite problematic. And it's a comment that the Ghana Airports Company cannot investigate itself. The company has committed no offense. You understand? Because to suggest that the Ghana Airports Company is investigating itself is to suggest that perhaps there was a board decision to involve in cocaine smuggling, or that there was a staff meeting at which they all came together and agreed. There can be individuals in an organization who can commit crime and do things against the law, and nothing stops the organization from investigating it. So I think that comment is completely misplaced. It doesn't make any sense, and we should stop making those kinds of comments, that they're investigating themselves. That's not the issue. Because as at now, there's no evidence that the company was implicated in the crime. Employees of the company were implicated in the commission of the alleged crime. But you see, there's one other thing which I find interesting. And it had to do with the use of a private aircraft, a Gulfstream aircraft, which apparently flew all the way from the Caribbean to Accra. And it could not be traced because they put off their transponders, I'm told, and so on. First of all, it suggests very experienced hands. I mean, that they could fly this long distance without detection and so on. Maybe that they were flying at a very low altitude and they could have become a danger to aviation all the way. Because if nobody could detect them, it means that air traffic controllers could not find where they were and therefore could not direct other aircrafts properly and so on. It's a huge thing. Now, what is interesting is that we have a terminal for private jets, which is not in the hands of government, it's in the hands of private persons. I don't know how many countries do that. maybe it's my ignorance, but I don't know how many countries do that. Airport terminals, especially for countries like Ghana, in this sub-region of extreme tension, rising terrorism and so on, should not be in private hands. It's a danger to national security.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, our time is up. We have to close, but there's a few messages from Facebook. There's this one. Okay, but reminding me to show appreciation. Bernard K. says, lawyer today has defined the meaning of Akufo-Addo and summarized his legacy. Hosap Mwambia says, lawyer, salute your passion, never late than ever. There's George Dixon, who then says, please, Alan wouldn't go anywhere. That's George Dixon. Patrick Ubesika says, Senator, congratulations, I owe you one. Say good morning to my favorite lady, Jifa. I'm really proud of her. Thanks to all your panelists for doing justice to all the topics. Uncle Kwesi is always my man, and ask him to finish writing his book. He'll finish. He'll finish. He's on it. Elizabeth Joyce Akolo says, what legacy is Akufo-Addo talking about? Before he became a president, he sat down with Ochihini and drafted what they were going to do to Ghanaians. In the Jeopardy document, everything is stated there, stealing, tribalism, nepotism, and destroying the businesses of his opponents and people he hated. Carlos Yeboah says the current electoral commission and electoral commissioners are aligned with the MPP and vice versa. I believe, and I can tell you for a fact, that they are aware that this lost BVDs and BVRs are part of a coordinated effort to steal the election. We should open our eyes and insist that what is right must be done. Otherwise, we might realize it's too late after the water has already passed under the bridge. Carlos sent that from Ododo. Osman, is it Tarek? But Nanado has no legacy to be protected in this country. Look, is it the cathedral? Is it the Cecilia de Park case? Is it the failed promise? Nanado is arrogant to the extent of asking traditional leaders to get up and greet him. Even Bawumia promised not to protect his legacy. What is he talking about? And sends greetings to Uncle Kwesi Pratt and hard-working deputy women organizer. Tre Wadwin says, Sana, isn't it funny when people who helped bring Akufo-Addo and NPP to the people of Ghana turn around and tell Ghanaians to vote for them? There's Apostle Seidu. John Paul says, I'm extremely impressed with senior comrade Jife's submission. I didn't know you have become senior comrade. She's hitting the nail on the head, directly speaking wisdom and the mind of many Ghanaians. Anado is who is more into politics and think he's skilled than Bawumia, yet he couldn't lead us well, only bring death. How much more his mate? Ghana must not make a third mistake by choosing the MPP again come December 7 elections. Yesterday I found out it was the birthday of Felix Kwachio Fosu, and also the birthday of the deputy minority leader, Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boa. A belated happy birthday to both of you. There was no action. If there was action, I was not invited. And I'm sure Mr. Pratt was not invited. I can't. Oh, okay.
How can he celebrate his birthday in silence?
I thought something had happened that you were
He did something for the old folks in his constituency.
Okay.
But we are all old.
So his definition doesn't include any of you.
No, we are all in his constituency.
Yes. A belated happy birthday to both of you. And let me say a big thank you to my panel for today. Kwame Kwesi Pratt Jr., General Secretary of the Socialist Movement of Ghana. Jifa Tega is a deputy national women organizer of the National Democratic Congress. And then, of course, lawyer Andrew Apia Dankwa. Always wonderful to see you. And I hope Alan is well. Fantastic.
But have you noticed that your slogan now has been appropriated by others? No, Bibi Besi.
Oh, really? Who?
No, I saw Bawumia at one of his campaigns and they were shouting Bibi Besi.
Yes, yeah, no man.
I thought that his slogan was Mufasi Alima.
And they also used Bibi Besi.
Oh, not what happened.
He's a member of the Alliance for Revolutionary Change. And of course, Professor Michael Kwesa White, I want to get this right, Senior Research Fellow, University of Ghana, and a former presidential staffer, join us this morning to complete our panel. And let me say a big thank you to, I saw your well wishes and the videos that were played and everything. I was at home on Saturday, so I saw everything. Thank you very much for your well wishes, and thank you very much for your support. And I'm very, very grateful to everyone who turned up at the ceremony. was a fantastic one. Well, we'll see you same time next week. Oh, that one there. You don't need to practice it. The pastors did majority of the job. You turn up on the day. They tell you what you do it, and then you are done. Well, let me thank you to the crew, and of course, Dion Hubert, who is director, producers, led by Tijani Badamasi, Rabna Frimpong, Latifa Adams, and then, of course, Sound Emmanuel Osei, Ruben, and everybody who worked to bring this show live into your homes. And thank you very much for welcoming us into your home, your cars, and wherever you are, whilst we are listening and watching us live on Pan-African Television. Thank you. Have a lovely weekend.
He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer.